This is TWiT. Now, I'll tell you one subscription that Apple has launched that I think deserves more attention. It kind of got swamped by the iPhone. Yeah. But for $5, Arcade is a great deal. You agree?
It's so much fun.
It's getting great reviews.
So much fun.
And that's a $5 I'm happy to spend because I'd spend that much probably.
And it's for the family.
Right. And I can do it on my TV.
The thing that killed me over this weekend is I bought, so my godkids have been using my Switch so much that I basically don't have ownership of it anymore. So I bought the new one for them with the better processor and the better battery life. And then I found out that the games are locked to the console, not to the account.
What?
So I have to buy, if I want to keep, it's like they've got this incredibly rigid copy protection where you have to buy the physical cartridges repeatedly if you have them on different.
That's awful.
Matthew Panzarino and Stephen Kovac were trying to explain it. And then I'm thinking Apple Arcade is $5 a month for the whole family, and I'll just, they have iPads, they have iPhones, or like older version of my iPhones, but they can still play on them.
The games aren't.
$5, that's it. You're done.
The games aren't quite as good as the Nintendo Switch, though.
Nowhere near, but there's unlimited amounts of them, and impatience I think is a bigger. Like you buy the console and you feel duty bound because it was $60 to finish everything, but these you can just download and play at your leisure.
They're kind of, forgive me, this is not a good image. They're kind of toilet games.
Right. So this is my question.
That's a terrible image, isn't it? I'm so sorry.
Backseat of the car games.
Thank you. Backseat of the car games.
But, this is still a big change in consumer behavior. And it'll be interesting to see because Apple taught everyone that these games were supposed to be free, right? And that they were just going to be ad supported.
I think they feel guilty, Louise. I think Apple says we screwed up. We changed the game ecosystem, made all these freemium games. Everybody's pissed off about it. No?
Who's everyone? Like the developers are pissed off about it?
No, developers love it. They make a lot of money. Look at Fortnite. Look at Tim Sweeney.
Well, the big studios love it. I think the indie game devs are pretty nonplussed about it.
Yeah, and like those ads are, you're right, it's a toilet game and this like shitty ad pops up on the toilet game and you're like, oh, but you're fine with it. And I think that was what Apple kind of taught us was okay, right? And so I think the idea of paying a monthly fee for that and having it be a little bit more elevated is appealing to a lot of people, but it was this belief that you could just download this cheap game, right? And I don't know, are people going to want to subscribe in that way? I think that's a shift.
Not every game is Fortnite. I've spent a lot of money because Fortnite you can actually play without buying anything. You may be mocked by your peers for having
if you want the Batman suit,
average
Leo.
costume.
You want the Batman suit.
Oh, you're such a default. But you can play, and the game's still fun. But like Simpsons Tapped Out, I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on donuts. And
Pokemon incubators, Leo. I don't want to think about it.
And or whatever, red fish or whatever it is. And that, I think in the long run, it upsets people. So the idea that I feel like Apple almost was trying to they created a crack in the cosmos and they're trying to heal it. By doing
and no
arcade.
Big studios will do it, and it's fine. They'll still have their games. Big franchises will still have their spot, and there'll be a bunch of other stuff. But for people who just don't want that anymore or want an alternative to it, they at least have an alternative.
Do you have a game you like on it?
I haven't had too much time to play because I've been doing just a gazillion other things. But I'm blanking on the name. I like the card game where you go into the subconscious of the kid and you're playing through his memories.
Yeah, it's like the 90s.
And you're manipulating the cards to have them. Yeah, it's Card Drop I'm just totally blanking on the name. And you're building little traverses puzzles for him.
The cards fall.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
the Snowman games are good.
The which ones?
Snowman. They have a couple games on there. They made Alto's. I think they made Alto's Adventure, and they've got a couple games on here.
So I think that's what's happening is you see the same names. Like each studio made several games, or a lot of the studios made several games, and they're not super complex. Oceanhorn is as complex as the original Oceanhorn was. Oceanhorn 2. I like the What the Golf for people who hate golf.
Yes,
it's so much fun. You think you're going to shoot a ball, and then it turns out you're shooting a house or a car or a kid or a club or all sorts of weird stuff. It's a very fun game. Somebody in the chat room says he hated the Frogger game, but I kind of like that.
That's, I think, the nostalgia play. Like people can recognize that brand name, and then they get something to latch on to.
It's giant babies. That's fun.
Yeah.
Do you play any arcade games, Dwight, at all?
I have not yet signed up for it for about the same reason that Renee mentioned he hadn't had a chance to play. I've got the beta of tvOS 13 right now on my Apple TV. I'm kind of waiting for it to show up there. So far, I don't have access to it there. But once I do, that's what I'm most interested in, to see what this looks like on the bigger screen.
We got a bunch of people in the studio who are developers, VR game developers. They came out for the Oculus conference. What do you guys think of Arcade? I mean, there's no VR version, huh?
It's not.
There's AR.
Oh, you don't have it yet. You'll get it on. You'll get it Tuesday.
It's only. I do have it. I've played lots of the games.
Oh, because you have 13.
It's not on iPad. It's only iPhone. The Arcade's been released.
Yeah, for the moment, that's right.
I'm playing it on an iPad.
Oh.
You need 13.1.
You're on the beta.
You need 13.1. It's great on the iPad, but it's actually a lot of the games are designed for the phone. I think.
Thing.
Do you think it's a good thing?
Yeah, I know hundreds of iOS developers now, and I think generally it's pretty toxic, all the cache for stuff.
They don't like that. They don't want to. They don't want to be doing
especially
that.
Indie devs. It's pretty bad.
You get a lot of hate from parents.
Yeah, you've got words like whales and all these big words, and you need a lot of cache to prime pump and customer acquisition, all these things, which Indie's on.
What I worry a little bit about is that Arcade's going to eat up the rest of the industry. That people, I mean, anybody who spends $5 a month on Arcade has 100 games, new games all the time. Why should I ever buy another game? I got them all.
They'll still want Fortnite, Leo.
Maybe. Fortnite, yeah, but see, Fortnite is such an outlier. You can't ever use it in this conversation.
But the other ones were too hard to bring to market. Like I talked to a bunch of developers there, and they had dreams to make games that there was just either they would have to butcher them so thoroughly with pay-to-play features that they could not live themselves to launch it, or they just couldn't launch it. And this is giving them an outlet.
That's the sense I get when I play these games. Is these are in some ways these are art projects. These are games, labors of love. That developers wanted to make but couldn't really make. It made no business sense.
Especially for the Mac or Apple TV, there was no way that they would have the time or resources to make those versions.
Yeah, I think the problem Apple is have so much power. So they did that with freemium by allowing that and not allowing demo versions of games. By kind of steering the developer. They steered the developer into this freemium model. Not, I don't think intentionally, but accidentally. And now I think they felt a little guilty about it. So they've created Arcade. They have so much clout, though, that this could really change gaming in some dramatic ways.
But in a good way.
Well, maybe in a good way, maybe not. I mean,
if the experience overall becomes better, if it doesn't become, if it takes away a lot of the pain points or one of the annoyances, I think that overall it's a good thing. The question is whether it will have an impact anywhere else or whether Apple will just be this island.
It's going to kill Candy Crush. That is good. Everybody agrees that is good, right?
So what are some of the annoyances? Like, are you talking about like these like kind of spammy ads? Like, what are some of the annoyances?
Yes. The loot boxes and that kind of thing, which I don't believe are allowed in Arcade. I don't think they're
they're not. There's no in-app purchases at all.
Right.
Plus, they all can be played offline, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that frees up developers to be making things that are fun, right? Instead of things that are like, how can we get them to spend more money? How can we lure them towards the loot box or lure them towards the extra armor that costs $5.99 or whatever? So I think that could be good, but I just wonder how conditioned consumers are not to pay for these games. And to, that's been the model, is that you can download Candy Crush for free, right? Or it's a one-time fee. And I just wonder, but at $5, I think that's pretty cheap.
That's why I think $5 is a good price.
And it's for your whole family.
Yeah.
It's not just you.
And it's hundreds of games. And you can refresh them all the time.
And more every month. You have Stadia on the other side, Leo, which is going to crush from the exact opposite vertical with always streaming any device.
Well, we'll see.
A bunch of studio names. Well, I mean, theoretically, you do, like you said, to your point, Apple is giving a whole tab of the App Store to Arcade. That is some of the most valuable software real estate in the world.
Yeah.
And Google is going to be promoting Stadia. I don't know if it's going to promote it that much, but it probably will. And you have these massive platforms sort of trying to reposition gaming both at the same time.